Welcome to Radio.W.O.R.K.S World. I'm Natalie Edwards, intuitive guide for change makers, and I'm here tonight with Marina. And I work with female entrepreneurs to help them step into their true power and bring their unique magic and light to the world. And today I'm going to be talking to you about intuition and tapping into your deeper calling by listening to that intuition. So I really want to speak to those of you that are listening, and I want to speak to your hearts. And I want to ask you, do you often find yourself feeling overwhelmed or tearful? Maybe you might find yourself swallowing your opinions, or maybe holding back from saying what you really want to say, especially with those close to you. And maybe you have felt disconnected, maybe from your business or your life, or maybe both lately. Maybe you felt your energy dipping, and perhaps you've not been able to get out of bed as easily as you might normally do. And maybe you felt a sense that you're just not where you're supposed to be right now in the world or in your life. And maybe you've also felt like you're living somebody else's life and not your own. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, about how to listen to that sense that things are not right, because that's actually your intuition trying to speak to you. So when we're experiencing these types of feelings, they often don't feel logical. If on paper everything looks good and we're feeling that we should be happy and we should be content, but intuition, as we'll discuss today, is not logical. It's based on feeling, it's based on gut and heart and head. It's from the body, and it starts from the inside out. And I'm guessing, Marina, that this is probably going to be the kind of thing that's going to resonate with your listeners.
I'm so grateful, Natalie. It's not that a great privilege to have you here, but it's a must. It's a must for our listeners to listen to you, so they could listen to themselves. And following your intuition is a natural way of life, and that allows you to see yourself in a different light, to see that you are not here for yourself. You are here to deliver that unique gift you've been given at birth, that mission, that life mission that you've been entrusted with. And talking about intuition, to me, there are two words. It's intuition. Actually, there are three words. All intuition. So is allowing that inner voice to guide you, to give you the energy you need, to make you vibrate, to allow you sing your song, the song you never sang, and share it with the others. I'm so grateful, Natalie, that you had to go through so much for the rest of us to understand what life is about. Over to you, Natalie.
Yeah, thank you, Marina. It's funny because intuition kind of taps us on the shoulder, and if we don't listen, then I find that it ends up like flicking us in the forehead and then eventually like smacking us around the forehead until we're willing to listen. And so I'm really passionate about this because I know that from personal experience, ignoring it for too long can actually make us physically ill. So I had like stomach issues that mysteriously just disappeared when I started stepping into my power more. And I had a lot of pain from my scoliosis, which became much more manageable when I actually started listening to my body. And I often had throat infections and really weird problems with my jaw because I wasn't listening to my intuition, and therefore I wasn't speaking my truth. So it's powerful because it actually takes over our bodies, because it is a thing inside our bodies. It manifests physically if we don't allow it to come through and come out and allow it to guide us to the life that we're actually supposed to be living. So you just mentioned there, Marina, I think you mentioned a mentor, and that is exactly what it is. Intuition is this idea of listening to our inner mentor, or I like to call it an inner GPS system. So it's like if you get in a car, you need to know where you're going. And it's exactly the same with listening to what's going on the inside of you. You need to follow guidance. You need to follow your inner wisdom and guidance so that you know where it is you're going in life. Otherwise, you're just going to be going through the motions and you won't be doing things in your life that are very heart-centered. But, the mission that I'm on is to help women really start fully believing in themselves and fall back in love with their power, so that they can become truly great and step into their potential by listening to this inner mentor. And it's the greatest resource that we all have. It's the most untapped and ignored at times, and it's inbuilt. So nobody knows who we are except for us. Obviously, people in our lives can come really close, like our partners can come very close to that, but they can never really feel and fully understand what we know inside and who this inner mentor is. And so we have to learn to listen to that person or that voice or that feeling, however you want to describe it. And we need to accept that person or that voice, and we need to trust it because it underpins everything else in our life. So if we can't accept it and allow it to come through, and we don't listen to that internal guidance, then what we'll be doing instead is we'll be seeking that guidance externally, and that will have a negative effect on our relationships, how we show up at work, how we carry ourselves. It will affect our confidence, our mindset, how much money we think we deserve to be earning, like everything. And so we have to get grounded in the beauty of inner wisdom and begin to trust it and not push it out and tell ourselves that it sounds insane, or it sounds a bit crazy, because it's actual magic. And you and I were talking previously about how it's what we were born with, and it's absolutely guidance that will serve us towards our higher purpose. And that is one thing I know for sure. And I know you do as well, Marina.
Wow, Natalie. I know our listeners are going through difficult times, and each one of us, when you wake up in the morning, you have a gut feeling it's going to be a good day or a bad day. And I wonder, what do you think is a way of educating your gut feeling, is a way of making you aware that is a choice? What do you think, Natalie?
I think it's a really good question. I think it's getting really honest with where you maybe have been selectively numbing it. So my selective numbing of my intuition was around feelings of low self-worth, and so I was using drugs and alcohol in my 20s, and I just unwound from like any connection with my body because I didn't think I was really worthy. And a lot of us, we do, it's the looking external thing again. Like you said, you wake up in the morning, you have a gut feeling, but then you go through the motions of the day, or you reach out for something to unwind stress in your body, like alcohol. And then you check out and you don't listen, or maybe you don't breathe very deeply. And so I think it's just getting really honest with yourself to begin with, and be like, where am I not listening to myself on a day-to-day basis? Like, simple as that. Where am I choosing to just check out instead of just being with myself, being with my thoughts, and listening to my body? Otherwise you'll keep getting that tap on the shoulder and the more you get that, the more annoying it's going to get, right?
Yes. I don't know why I've always been a bit this way, listening to my intuition, no matter what. And perhaps because I spent lots of years on solitude, but even in my adult life, but even as a child, um, I always go and in the back garden and climb a tree and sit there for hours and just listen to the leaves, or I was that type of weird child. So I still I am the same child, but now thinking that the thoughts coming to your mind, the thoughts you are listening to, are in a way connected with your environment. What would you say about the relationship between your environment and your intuition?
That's a good question. You have to be aware of when a certain environment or situation isn't serving you, so that you can listen more intently to your intuition. I think it can, your intuition will be speaking to you if it isn't serving you. But yeah, I feel like it will more likely come through when you're in a safer place, when you're able to connect with yourself, when you've got more of a peaceful space to do it in. And so if you're in an environment right now that doesn't serve you, like you said, you know, getting out into nature can really help you retune. So if you have somewhere where you can get into nature regularly, then do that, so you can just take some time to sit down, ground your feet into the floor, like you said, listen to the sounds around you. Or, you know, sometimes I've worked with clients who, you know, it's kind of like in the UK and it's cold, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go take myself off to a spa for a day, you know, just pay for a day pass and sit in a spa. Just allowing yourself to get into a space where you feel safe, because maybe where you are right now doesn't feel that safe for you, or you don't feel comfortable in that environment. I think it has a huge effect. They're definitely linked. And we can feel blocked if our environment isn't serving the person that we are, you know, especially if we're going to an office and that kind of thing every day where we don't feel very happy. So yeah, I think they do link.
Because I'm asking this because you mentioned that you've been through this very sad experience when you're taking drugs, trying to fill a void, or finding answers, or just to forget and escape the reality you didn't like. And I honestly, I I'm I wonder why I never took drugs. But from the other hand, I know that I missed huge contracts. I stopped working with certain people because they were taking drugs, and I didn't want to. I couldn't join the social environment, so of course
Mm,
I excluded myself. But I made the choice.
yeah.
So I just listened to my intuition. I had no idea what drugs are because it's not something I had experienced ever. But I understood it's something else, and each time after meetings, or um, our um, working hours together during a certain project, they'll go off, and they'll invite me, and I'll say no so many times, and then they treated me like I was the black sheep. So I just listened to my intuition. I had to say no. I didn't know
Mm,
what they were doing. I didn't know how bad it is. I didn't know till later in my life, when I had children and they experienced that, like all teenagers. And I was terrified because I thought I wish I had drugs so I could understand them. But
mm,
I always listened to my intuition. I mean, it was something telling me not to. I couldn't do it, even if I, I just couldn't bring myself to want something that I felt deep inside that is going to harm me.
yeah. You were obviously very tapped in from a very young age, weren't you? Obviously,
Yes,
that intuition was at heightened sense as you were a child, which is amazing.
yes. So I think that your program is not only essential to modern society, and is not only for people your age. I think it's for everybody who cannot use their inner intuition, their inner strength to protect themselves from harm.
Mm,
I think that the moment people learn to listen to their intuition, they will be able to prioritize. So what is important for me? What is my intuition telling me? What is my gut feeling telling me? And it's very hard to do this without guidance. To me, it was my natural thing, my natural environment. I don't know. I never, as a child, I never grew up in a way, I never done adult things like, I never been, because I was always um, listening to how I feel inside. And
mm,
perhaps I missed a lot in my life, but from the other hand, I gain a lot because I listen to whatever it is that is telling me is for me or is not for me.
yeah. Absolutely. And everyone's
So
path is different, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, so I wonder if you could tell us more about your program and how people could reach out, and what is the outcome for them.
Okay, so I mean, the way that I work with people is, I said at the beginning, I'm an intuitive guide, and that really is the way that I work. You know, I base everything on intuition, and I guide people back to that inner resource. So tuning into like your, I call them the three power centers. You know, you've got the third eye, the heart, and the guts. And we can talk about those more another time, but it's that's how I work with people. I'm a truth speaker, and I guide people to speak their truth rather than getting caught up in, again, the external stuff or getting lost in the shoulds, because I'm a huge believer in, you know, people stepping into their power. I meet so many women especially who have huge gifts, but there's just these blocks in the way, just like there were for me, where they're just not quite getting there because they're allowing fear to control them. And so I help people work with fear in a healthy way. And like you were saying, it's that intuition and knowing when to use it when it's keeping you safe, and knowing when to use it when it's guiding you forward. And it's just basically learning those inner skills, which we're not taught this stuff in school, you know, or by any of our teachers. And so I help people tap back into their inner strength and then cultivate that deeper connection with themselves, so they can actually get more of themselves out into the world instead of putting like a masked version out there. Because there's lots of people that go into entrepreneurship that feel like they have to put a hat on and they have to present themselves in a certain way. And I just believe that as long as we're all completely aligned and being who we are, that's actually where our wealth is and our message is, and our personal story is so powerful, even though we can be scared to share it. And so one of the first things I do with people is get them really connected to and grounded in their personal story. And then what happens from that point is just incredible when they start sharing that with the world. And this is why I love what you're doing, Marina, because you're getting people's personal stories out there, and people are interested in other people. We're hardwired for connection. And so I think it's fantastic what you're doing with Radio Works World.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I really I just follow my heart. I had no plan. I think it's a divine plan anyway.
Mm.
So I never plan of doing or being where I am. I just go with the flow and follow my heart. And I think that's another very good example of tapping into your intuition and
Mm.
seeing what other people can't see, and seeing when in a standard way and anyone else won't see what you see, and
Yeah.
develop that, because it's all about mastering your intuition. This is what how you help people. You help people master their intuition to create better life choices. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this is so profound and so specialized that you cannot do it by yourself. It's impossible. There are so
Mm.
many distractions. There are so many upside down values and around you, and it's always important to stay on track. And what you do, Natalie, you put people on track and help them follow their heart. We are reaching the end of our episode today, and I'm so grateful for everything you are teaching us, Natalie. I'm taking lots of notes, and I hope our listeners do too. And we want them to connect with you straight away. So, what is the best place for them to find you apart from www.radioworks.world?
They can also reach me at natedwards.co.uk. So that's NATEDWARDS.co.uk. That's the best place to find me online. They can connect with me there as well.
So until next time, from both of us, go all intuition. Goodbye.
Thank you, Marina. Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.